Your story begins in darkness, deep underground in a burrow your mother scraped from the hard desert floor weeks ago. She chose this spot carefully, away from the shifting sands that could collapse and bury you alive. The burrow extends nearly 2 meters down, far enough to escape the brutal surface temperatures that will soon define your existence. You're one of 3 kittens, though you don't know it yet. Your eyes are sealed shut, your ears folded against your head, and your world consists entirely of warmth, milk, and the steady rhythm of your mother's heartbeat. Your mother is exhausted. She's been nursing you and your siblings for days without leaving the burrow, her body burning through fat reserves she built up during the cooler months. Above ground, the desert is merciless. Daytime temperatures climb past 50 degrees Celsius, hot enough to kill most mammals in minutes. Even the sand itself becomes a weapon, radiating heat that would cook your tiny body instantly. So she waits, patient and protective, until the sun disappears and the desert transforms into something almost livable. When night falls, she finally emerges. The temperature drops rapidly in the desert, sometimes by 30 degrees or more. What was a furnace becomes almost comfortable, though the cold will soon present its own challenges. She moves silently across the sand, her heavily furred paws spreading her weight so she doesn't sink. Those same paws protect her from the scorching ground during brief daytime hunts, but tonight they're just soft padding that makes her nearly invisible to prey. She's hunting for gerbils, her primary food source. These small rodents have their own underground networks, and catching them requires patience and precision. She stops every few meters, pressing her oversized ears to the ground. Her hearing is extraordinary, fine-tuned to detect the faint scratching of tiny claws through sand and soil. There, movement, maybe 20 centimeters down. She digs rapidly, sand flying behind her as she follows the sound. The gerbil tries to escape through a side tunnel, but she's faster. Her claws pin it before it can disappear. Back at the burrow, she tears the gerbil apart, eating quickly. She needs the energy for milk production, and she can't afford to waste time. Every moment above ground is a risk. Eagles hunt at dawn, and jackals patrol the area looking for easy meals. A mother with kittens is vulnerable, slower than usual, focused on protecting her young rather than her own survival. She swallows the last of the gerbil and slips back underground to you and your siblings. You're growing fast, but growth in the desert comes with costs. Your body is already adapting to the environment you've never seen. Your kidneys are developing an almost supernatural ability to conserve water. Unlike most cats, you'll eventually be able to survive on the moisture from your prey alone, rarely needing to drink. Your fur is growing thick and dense, not just on your body, but on the soles of your feet. Those furry paws will be your lifeline, protecting you from sand so hot it could melt plastic. Your siblings are your first competition. There are 3 of you, and your mother's milk supply isn't unlimited. The strongest gets the most food, and weakness in the desert means death. You push against your siblings, claiming the best feeding position. It's not cruelty, it's survival. Your mother doesn't intervene. She knows that only the strongest will survive their first year, and sentiment is a luxury she can't afford. At 2 weeks old, your eyes open for the first time. The burrow is dim, lit only by faint light filtering down from the entrance. Your world is small, just packed earth walls and the familiar scent of your family. But your ears are already picking up sounds from above, the whisper of wind across sand, the distant call of a desert fox, the flutter of wings as a bird lands near the burrow entrance. These sounds will become your survival guide, teaching you to read the desert's moods and dangers. Your mother's hunting trips are becoming more frequent and longer. She's not just feeding herself now, She's preparing for your transition to solid food. She brings back more than gerbils, beetles, lizards, the occasional snake. She tears them into small pieces, pre-chewing the tougher parts. Your first taste of meat is strange, different from the warm sweetness of milk. It's gamey, tough, but something deep in your genes recognizes it as the food you were meant to eat. At 4 weeks, you're ready for your first glimpse of the surface world. Your mother leads you and your siblings up the tunnel as the sun sets. The first sensation is space, vast and overwhelming, after the confined burrow. Above you, the sky stretches endlessly, painted in shades of orange and purple you've never seen. The air is different here, dry and sharp, carrying scents from kilometers away. But what strikes you most is the silence. The desert at dusk is quieter than anything you've experienced, broken only by the distant call of a fennec fox or the rustle of a lizard across stone. Your mother watches you carefully as you explore the area around the burrow entrance. The sand is still warm from the day's heat, but cooling rapidly. In a few hours, it will be cold enough to make you shiver. This is your introduction to the desert's fundamental rule. Everything here is extreme. There's no middle ground, no comfortable temperatures, no steady food supply. You adapt or you die. Your siblings are bolder than you, venturing further from the burrow entrance. One of them, the largest, pounces on a beetle scurrying across the sand. The beetle is bigger than expected, its hard shell clicking against teeny teeth. Your sibling shakes it violently, instinctively knowing how to kill despite never being taught. This is your first lesson in hunting, learned by watching rather than instruction. A shadow passes overhead, and your mother's warning call sends all 3 of you scrambling back toward the burrow. It's an eagle, circling high above. Your mother has spotted it long before you even knew it was there. Her eyes are adapted for distance vision, capable of detecting movement across vast expanses of desert. That eagle represents death for a kitten your size, and your mother's vigilance is all that stands between you and those talons. As the weeks pass, your hunting skills develop rapidly. You learn to dig, following the vibrations of insects and small reptiles beneath the sand. Your claws are sharp and curved, perfect for gripping prey and excavating burrows. Your mother teaches you to hunt by example, showing you how to remain perfectly still until the moment to strike. Patience is everything in the desert. Wasted energy means death, and every movement must have purpose. Your first successful hunt is a grasshopper, slower than usual in the cool morning air. You stalk it carefully, belly low against the sand, muscles coiled. The pounce is awkward, not the fluid motions it will eventually become, but effective. The grasshopper crunches between your teeth, and you feel a surge of satisfaction that goes beyond mere hunger. This is what you were born for. The desert is teaching you its rhythms. Day means hiding, conserving energy, staying cool. Night means hunting, moving, living. Dawn and dusk are transition times, when the temperature is tolerable but the light is tricky. These are dangerous hours, when predators are active and visibility is limited. Your mother keeps you close during these times, her body tense with alertness. Water is life in the desert, and you're learning to find it in unexpected places. Morning dew on rocks, moisture in the bodies of your prey, the occasional desert plant that stores water in its leaves. Your mother shows you how to recognize these sources, how to extract every drop. Your body is already becoming incredibly efficient at water conservation. Your urine is concentrated, your feces dry, your breathing shallow to reduce moisture loss. Your siblings are your constant companions and rivals. You play together, but the games are practice for real survival skills. Wrestling matches teach you to fight. Stalking games develop your hunting instincts, and competitions over food prepare you for the resource scarcity that defines desert life. One of your siblings is noticeably smaller than you and your other litter mate, struggling to keep up during foraging trips and losing most food competitions. The desert's predators are always watching. Jackals patrol the area regularly, their keen noses searching for the scent of vulnerable prey. Your mother's chosen territory overlaps with theirs, and she must constantly balance the need to hunt with the need to avoid becoming hunted. She's lost litters before, and her wariness is born from experience. Every sound, every shadow, every unfamiliar scent could signal danger. Your weakest sibling disappears one morning. Your mother searches briefly, following a scent trail that leads away from the burrow, but she doesn't pursue it far. The desert has claimed one of you, as it claims most young animals. There's no time for mourning, no energy for grief. The two of you who remain must be stronger, faster, more careful. Your mother's attention is now divided between fewer kittens, increasing your chances of survival. As you grow larger and more capable, your mother begins to take you on longer hunting expeditions. These trips are your graduate education in desert survival. You learn to read the landscape, identifying the subtle signs that indicate prey burrows, water sources, and safe shelter. The desert looks empty to most eyes, but you're learning to see the hidden network of life that exists beneath its surface. Your hunting range expands as your stamina improves. You can now travel several kilometers from the burrow, always staying within range of familiar landmarks. The desert is vast and uniform, and getting lost means death. Your mother teaches you to navigate by stars, wind patterns, and the subtle variations in terrain that distinguish one stretch of sand from another. At 12 weeks old, you're no longer that helpless bundle of fur that trembled at every sound. Your paws are steady now, your eyes sharp and focused, and your coat has developed those distinctive black bars that will help you disappear into the desert shadows for the rest of your life. The burrow that once felt vast now seems cramped. Your mother notices this too. She's been watching you more carefully lately, not with the protective intensity of those early weeks, but with something else, the assessment. You don't understand it yet, but she's measuring your readiness for what comes next. The lessons begin at dusk. Your mother leads you further from the burrow than you've ever been, past the familiar rocks and scrub brush that marked the boundaries of your safe world. The desert stretches endlessly in all directions, and for the first time you feel truly small. She stops beside a cluster of dried grass and crouches low, her body language telling you to do the same. Then she waits. You fidget, unsure what you're supposed to be watching for, but she remains perfectly still. Minutes pass, then something moves. A tiny jerboa hops into view, its oversized hind legs carrying it in erratic bounces across the sand. Your mother doesn't strike immediately. Instead, she lets you watch as the jerboa continues its path, unaware of the danger lurking just meters away. You can feel the tension in her muscles, the coiled energy waiting to explode into action. When she finally moves, it's with devastating precision. The jerboa never even sees her coming. One moment, it's hopping along. The next, it's caught in her jaws. Its struggles already fading. She doesn't eat it right away. Instead, she brings it to you, dropping the still warm body at your paws. This is your first real lesson in killing. The jerboa is small, is barely larger than your paw, but it represents something enormous. Up until now, your mother has provided everything. Food appeared when you were hungry, water when you were thirsty, warmth when you were cold. But this jerboa is different. She caught it, but it's yours to finish. You sniff at it cautiously, unsure what to do. The jerboa twitches weakly, not quite dead, and you instinctively back away. Your mother watches without intervening. This is a test you must pass alone. You approach again, this time with more confidence. Your teeth find the jerboa's neck, and you bite down. The taste is different from anything you've experienced before. Raw, metallic, immediate. The jerboa stops moving. You've made your first kill, even if it was already mostly dead. Your mother gives a soft purr of approval, but she doesn't celebrate. This is just the beginning. Over the following nights, the lessons intensify. She shows you how to read the subtle signs that indicate prey is near, the faint vibrations in the sand that reveal a gerbil's burrow, the almost imperceptible movement of grass that betrays a hidden insect, the way shadows shift when a gecko darts across a rock. Your senses, already sharp, become even more attuned to the desert's hidden life. You learn that hunting isn't just about speed and strength. It's about patience, timing, and understanding the rhythms of your prey. Your mother teaches you the art of the stalk, how to move your body so that each step is silent, how to use the terrain to mask your approach, how to read the wind so your scent doesn't betray you. She shows you how to position yourself for the perfect strike, how to calculate distance and timing so that your prey has no chance to escape. These aren't just techniques, they're survival skills that will determine whether you live or die once you're on your own. The desert is full of competitors who want what you want. Other predators patrol these same hunting grounds, and they don't share. You encounter your first snake during one of these training sessions. It's a small viper, coiled beneath a rock, its heat signature barely visible even to your enhanced vision. Your mother spots it first, her body going rigid with alarm. She doesn't attack. Instead, she backs away slowly, guiding you with her. This is another lesson. Not everything in the desert is prey. Some things are predators too, and knowing the difference could save your life. But the snake encounter teaches you something else. Fear can be useful. The sharp spike of adrenaline that floods your system when you spot danger doesn't just prepare you to run, it sharpens your senses, quickens your reflexes, and helps you make split-second decisions. You learn to embrace that fear, to use it as a tool rather than let it paralyze you. In the desert, the difference between fear and respect is often the difference between life and death. Your hunting skills improve rapidly. What once required your mother's intervention now comes naturally. You catch your first gerbil entirely on your own, a small victory that fills you with pride. Your mother watches from a distance, ready to intervene if necessary, but she doesn't need to. Your stalk is patient, your strike precise, your kill clean. The gerbil provides enough meat for a satisfying meal, and you eat it with the satisfaction of knowing you earned every bite. But hunting is only part of your education. Your mother also teaches you about territory, about the invisible boundaries that crisscross the desert. She shows you how to read scent marks, how to understand which areas are claimed and which are free. She teaches you to recognize the signs of other sand cats, and more importantly, how to avoid them. Adult sand cats are solitary creatures, and territorial disputes can be deadly. Better to find your own space than to fight for someone else's. Water remains your greatest challenge. The desert offers few reliable sources, and those that exist are often claimed by larger, more dangerous animals. Your mother shows you how to extract moisture from your prey, how to find the tiny pools that collect in rock crevices after rare rainstorms, how to read the signs that indicate water might be near. She teaches you to be opportunistic, to take advantage of every possible source, no matter how small. In the desert, there's no such thing as being too careful about water. The lessons extend beyond hunting and foraging. Your mother teaches you about shelter, about the importance of finding safe places to rest during the scorching daylight hours. She shows you how to dig your own burrows, how to choose locations that provide maximum protection from both predators and the elements. You learn to recognize the signs of a good den site: elevated ground for drainage, multiple escape routes, proximity to hunting grounds, but far enough from water sources to avoid competition with larger animals. Navigation becomes second nature. Your mother teaches you to read the subtle landmarks that will guide you through the seemingly featureless desert. The way certain rock formations catch the light, the patterns of vegetation that indicate underground water, the position of the stars that will help you find your way in the darkness. You develop an internal map of your territory, a mental picture of every important feature that will serve you for the rest of your life. Temperature regulation is another crucial skill. The desert's extreme temperature swings would kill most mammals, but you learn to adapt. Your mother shows you how to use your large ears to dissipate heat, how to position your body to minimize exposure to the sun, how to find the coolest spots during the day and the warmest spots during the night. You learn to read the subtle signs that indicate when temperatures are about to shift, allowing you to prepare before the change becomes dangerous. Your social education is equally important. Though sand cats are solitary, you need to understand your own species. Your mother teaches you to recognize the calls of other sand cats, to understand what they mean and how to respond. She shows you the difference between territorial warnings, mating calls, and distress signals. You learn when to answer and when to remain silent, when to approach and when to retreat. These skills will be essential when you eventually encounter other sand cats on your own. The desert nights become your classroom. Each hunting expedition teaches you something new about survival, about the complex web of relationships that exists in this harsh environment. You learn which animals are active when, how weather affects behavior, how seasonal changes alter the availability of prey. Your mother's lessons prepare you for every situation you're likely to encounter, but she also teaches you to be adaptable, to think on your feet when faced with the unexpected. As your skills develop, your mother gradually reduces her involvement. She still accompanies you on hunts, but she hangs back, letting you take the lead. She intervenes only when absolutely necessary, allowing you to learn from your mistakes while ensuring those mistakes don't prove fatal. This gradual withdrawal is intentional. She's preparing you for independence, weaning you from reliance on her protection and guidance. Your confidence grows with each successful hunt, each night survived, each challenge overcome. The desert that once seemed impossibly hostile now feels like home. You understand its rhythms, its dangers, its opportunities. You've learned to read its subtle signs, to anticipate its changes, to thrive in conditions that would destroy most other mammals. Your mother has given you the tools for survival, but more than that, she's given you the confidence to use them. The bond between you and your mother remains strong, but it's changing. The desperate dependence of your early weeks has evolved into something more complex. You still seek her approval, still value her guidance, but you no longer need her constant presence to feel safe. This transformation is gradual, almost imperceptible, but it's preparing you both for what must inevitably come. The desert is vast, and it has room for only one sand cat per territory. Soon, you'll need to find your own space, your own hunting grounds, your own piece of this harsh but beautiful world. As the weeks stretch into months, your hunting skills sharpen with each passing day. You've mastered the art of the patient wait, crouched motionless in the shadow of rocks, while prey moves unsuspecting through your domain. The desert has taught you its most valuable lesson. Everything here survives on precision, not luck. Your paws have grown broader, the fur between your toes thicker. When you walk across the burning sand at midday, You barely register the heat that would cripple most creatures. Your kidneys work like biological miracles, extracting every possible drop of moisture from your food while your body conserves water with ruthless efficiency. You haven't drunk from a water source in weeks because you don't need to. The blood of your prey provides everything. The territory you've claimed spans several square kilometers of seemingly barren landscape, but you know better. Beneath the surface, this land pulses with life. Gerbil colonies tunnel through the sand, their networks stretching like underground highways. Beetles emerge at dusk, their shells clicking against pebbles as they search for organic matter. Lizards dart between rocks, their bodies flashing in the moonlight. This is your hunting ground, and you know every inch of it. You've learned to read the desert's subtle signs. The way sand shifts slightly above a gerbil burrow, the faint scratching sound that means a beetle is trapped beneath a fallen rock, the almost imperceptible movement of a lizard's tail disappearing behind a stone. Your ears swivel independently, each one tuned to different frequencies of sound. A rustle 30 meters to your left, a scratch 15 meters ahead, the soft patting of paws that don't belong to you. Territory disputes have become part of your routine. Other sandcats occasionally test your boundaries, drawn by the scent of successful hunts or the promise of better shelter. You've fought 3 times in the past month, each encounter ending with your opponent retreating into the night. Your claws have left marks on their faces, just as theirs have left scars on your shoulders. But you've held your ground every time, because losing means starting over, and starting over in the desert often means death. The seasonal rhythms guide your behavior now. During the brutal summer months, you hunt exclusively at night, spending the daylight hours deep in your burrow where temperatures remain bearable. You've dug this shelter yourself, claws scraping through sand and harder earth until you've created a tunnel system that extends nearly 2 meters underground. Multiple entrances ensure you're never trapped, and the main chamber stays cool even when surface temperatures soar past 50 degrees Celsius. Your diet has expanded beyond the basics. You've successfully hunted young fennec foxes, their oversized ears no match for your stealth. You've caught birds that roost too close to the ground. Your reflex is quick enough to snatch them from the air. You've even managed to kill a small viper, avoiding its fangs while delivering a crushing bite to its skull. Each successful hunt builds your confidence and hones your technique, but the desert demands constant vigilance. You've had close calls with larger predators that view you as prey rather than competition. An eagle swooped down last week, talons extended, while you were focused on stalking a gecko. Only your peripheral vision and lightning-fast reflexes saved you, diving into a crevice between rocks just as the bird's claws scraped the sand where you'd been standing. The changing seasons bring new challenges. Winter nights grow cold enough that you must burn precious energy to stay warm. Your thick coat helps, but on the coldest nights you curl into the tightest ball possible, tail wrapped around your body like a furry blanket. Food becomes scarcer as many of your prey species enter periods of reduced activity. You've learned to fast for days when necessary, your body drawing on stored fat reserves while you wait for hunting opportunities. Spring arrives with an explosion of activity. The desert briefly transforms as rare rains awaken dormant seeds and bring temporary blooms of vegetation. This abundance draws more prey animals to your territory, but it also attracts more predators. You've spotted the tracks of caracoles, their large paws unmistakable in the soft sand. You've heard the distant calls of desert foxes, their yips echoing across the dunes. The competition for resources intensifies, and you must be more cunning than ever. Your hunting techniques have evolved into an art form. You've learned to use the wind to your advantage, always approaching from downwind so your scent doesn't betray your presence. You've mastered the ability to move without creating the slightest sound, each paw placement calculated to avoid shifting sand or clicking stones. Your patience has grown legendary, even by desert standards. You once waited motionless for 4 hours beside a gerbil burrow, rewarded when a fat adult emerged just before dawn. The kills themselves have become more efficient. You know exactly where to bite to ensure a quick death, minimizing the struggle that might attract scavengers or predators. Your jaws have strengthened to the point where you can crush small bones with ease. You've learned to eat strategically, consuming the most nutritious organs first while they're fresh, then working your way through the rest of the carcass. Water sources remain your most guarded secrets. You've discovered 3 reliable locations within your territory: a tiny spring that seeps from between rocks, a depression where rainwater occasionally collects, and a spot where morning dew condenses heavily enough to provide a few licks of moisture. You visit these places only when absolutely necessary, always checking for signs of other animals or potential threats. Your body has adapted in ways that would seem impossible to creatures from wetter climates. Your urine has become so concentrated it's nearly solid, conserving every drop of water. Your breathing has changed, exhaling less moisture while still maintaining efficient oxygen exchange. Your kidneys filter waste so effectively that you can survive on seawater if necessary, though you've never had to test this ability. The loneliness of your existence is offset by the deep satisfaction of mastery. You've become perfectly adapted to one of Earth's most challenging environments. Every successful hunt validates your skills. Every night you survive proves your worth. You are no longer the helpless kitten that depended on your mother's protection. You are a predator, a survivor, a creature so well suited to this harsh landscape that you thrive where others would perish. As another scorching day begins and you retreat to your burrow, you carry with you the quiet confidence of an animal that has found its place in the world. The desert above shimmers with heat waves, but you rest comfortably in your cool, underground chamber, already planning tonight's hunt. This is your life now, and you wouldn't have it any other way. Your territory now spans several kilometers of unforgiving desert terrain. The blazing sun beats down mercilessly, but you've learned to embrace the heat rather than fight it. Your thick fur coat isn't a burden anymore. It's your armor against the elements. Every grain of sand beneath your paws tells a story. Every shifting dune holds secrets that only you can read. This is your kingdom now, and you rule it with the silent authority of a true desert predator. The hunting patterns you've developed are nothing short of masterful. You've discovered that the best prey emerges during the twilight hours, when the desert temperature drops just enough to coax small mammals from their underground refuges. Your ears have become so finely tuned that you can detect the heartbeat of a jerboa from 30 meters away. The sound travels through the sand like a tiny drum, and you follow it with the precision of a guided missile. Your technique has evolved beyond simple pouncing. You've learned to anticipate where your prey will move before they even know it themselves. A slight shift in the wind, a tremor in the sand, the barely perceptible shadow of a passing cloud, all of these factors influence your hunting strategy. You don't just catch prey anymore, you orchestrate their capture like a conductor leading a deadly symphony. Water remains your most precious resource, but you've mastered the art of conservation to an almost supernatural degree. Your kidneys have adapted to filter and reuse every drop of moisture with ruthless efficiency. You can extract water from prey that seems completely dry to other creatures. Your body has become a living water recycling plant, turning what would be waste into life-sustaining liquid. The territorial boundaries you've established are marked not just with scent, but with an intricate network of subtle signs that other sand cats understand instinctively. Scratches on rocks positioned at specific angles, small piles of sand arranged in particular patterns, even the way you've worn paths through certain areas all serve as warnings to potential intruders. This is your land, and every square meter has been claimed through blood, sweat, and relentless determination. Your nights are spent patrolling these borders with the dedication of a soldier. You move through the darkness like a ghost, your pale fur blending seamlessly with the moonlit sand. Your eyes reflect the starlight, turning you into a living constellation prowling through the desert wilderness. Nothing moves in your territory without your knowledge. Nothing hunts without your permission. The challenges you face aren't just from other predators anymore. Sandstorms that can last for days test your ability to find shelter and wait out the chaos. You've learned to read the sky like an ancient desert prophet, detecting the subtle signs that warn of approaching weather disasters. When the storms hit, you hunker down in carefully selected rocky crevices, your body curled tight against the stinging sand and howling wind. During these storms, you enter a state of almost meditative patience. Your heartbeat slows, your breathing becomes shallow, and you exist in a suspended animation that conserves every calorie of energy. You've learned that survival isn't always about action. Sometimes it's about the wisdom to remain perfectly still while chaos rages around you. Your hunting success rate has improved dramatically. You rarely miss your target now, and when you do, it's usually because you've chosen to let smaller prey go in favor of pursuing something more substantial. You've developed preferences, favorite hunting grounds where you know the prey patterns by heart. There's a particular rocky outcrop where voles emerge predictably every third night, a stretch of soft sand where beetles surface just before dawn. The desert has taught you that patience isn't just a virtue, it's a survival skill. You can remain motionless for hours, waiting for the perfect moment to strike, your muscles coiled like springs, your senses hyper-aware of every movement in your environment. When you finally pounce, it's with the explosive power of stored energy released in a single, devastating instant. Your relationship with the desert ecosystem has evolved into something approaching symbiosis. You've learned which plants indicate underground water sources, which insects signal the presence of larger prey, which bird calls warn of approaching danger. The desert speaks to you in a language that took months to learn, but now flows through your consciousness as naturally as breathing. The scars you've accumulated tell the story of your journey from helpless kitten to apex predator. A thin line across your left shoulder from a close encounter with a viper. A small notch in your ear from a territorial dispute with another sand cat. Tiny marks on your paws from countless hunts across razor-sharp rocks. Each scar is a lesson learned, a reminder of the price of survival in this harsh environment. Your body has reached the peak of its physical capabilities. Your muscles are lean and powerful, your reflexes lightning fast, your endurance seemingly limitless. You can sprint across loose sand without losing speed, leap between rocks with the grace of a ballet dancer, and strike with the precision of a surgeon. Every aspect of your physiology has been honed by the desert into a perfect killing machine. The loneliness of your existence is offset by the profound sense of accomplishment that comes with mastering your environment. You've conquered the unconquerable, thrived where others would perish, and claimed dominion over one of Earth's most hostile landscapes. This isn't just survival anymore, it's a masterpiece of adaptation painted across the canvas of the endless desert. Your legacy is already being written in the sand around you. Other creatures have learned to respect your presence, to avoid your territory, to understand that you represent something beyond ordinary predation. You've become a force of nature, as much a part of the desert as the wind and the sun and the endless shifting dunes. Now that you're a master of your territory, a skilled hunter, and a survivor of countless desert challenges, your life enters a new phase. The instinct to reproduce begins to stir within you, an ancient calling that has driven your species for millennia across the endless sands. The breeding season arrives with the cooler months, when the desert offers its brief respite from the most punishing heat. Your body responds to subtle changes in daylight, temperature, and the scent markers that drift across your domain. This isn't just about finding a mate. It's about ensuring the continuation of your bloodline in one of Earth's most unforgiving environments. Finding a suitable partner in the vast expanse of desert isn't simple. Sand cats are solitary by nature, and crossing paths with another of your kind requires patience, luck, and an understanding of the invisible network of scent trails that crisscross the landscape. You begin to mark your territory more frequently, leaving behind chemical messages that announce your readiness to potential mates. Your calls change during this time. The typical vocalizations you use for hunting and territory defense transform into something more complex. You produce a series of barks, chirps, and meows that carry across the desert night, each sound carefully crafted to attract a mate while avoiding the attention of predators. These calls are your personal advertisement, broadcasting your strength, health, and genetic fitness to any female within range. The response comes one evening as you're patrolling the eastern edge of your territory. A female's call drifts across the dunes, different from your own, but unmistakably answering your invitation. You freeze, ears swiveling to pinpoint the direction. The sound is coming from beyond your usual hunting grounds, in an area you've only explored briefly during your territorial expansions. Following the call means leaving the safety of familiar ground. You know every hiding spot, every water source, every potential danger within your established territory. Venturing into unknown areas increases your risk, but the drive to reproduce overrides your caution. You begin moving toward the sound, pausing frequently to listen and ensure you're heading in the right direction. The journey takes you through terrain that tests your navigation skills. Rocky outcroppings give way to shifting sand, then to patches of sparse vegetation that provide both cover and potential hunting grounds. You mark strategic points along your route, creating a scent trail that will guide you back to familiar territory if needed. As you travel, you encounter the territories of other predators. The scent of a desert fox causes you to detour around a series of burrows. The tracks of a caracal in the sand force you to choose a more exposed route to avoid confrontation. Every decision requires balancing speed with safety, the urgency of reaching the female with the need to arrive alive and uninjured. The female's calls grow stronger as you approach, but so does her wariness. She's not simply waiting for you to arrive. She's evaluating you, testing your persistence, your ability to navigate challenges, and your fitness as a potential mate. This is her way of ensuring that only the strongest, most capable males contribute to the next generation. When you finally locate her, the courtship begins immediately. She doesn't make it easy. The female leads you on a complex dance through her territory, forcing you to prove your hunting skills, your agility, and your stamina. She darts between rocks and disappears into burrows, reappearing just long enough to ensure you're still following before vanishing again. This isn't playful behavior, it's a rigorous assessment. She's observing how you handle obstacles, how quickly you recover from missteps, and how you respond to the stress of unfamiliar terrain. Your performance during this courtship ritual will determine whether she accepts you as a mate or disappears into the desert, leaving you to search elsewhere. The chase continues for hours, spanning kilometers of desert landscape. You begin to understand the geography of her territory, noting the locations of water sources, prime hunting grounds, and secure denning sites. This knowledge will prove crucial in the days ahead, as successful mating is only the beginning of your responsibilities. Throughout the pursuit, you demonstrate your hunting prowess by catching small prey and offering it to the female. These gifts serve multiple purposes. They prove your ability to provide food, show your skill as a hunter, and demonstrate your willingness to share resources. Each successful catch and offering brings you closer to acceptance. The female's territory proves to be well chosen. She's established herself in an area with reliable water access, abundant prey, and multiple suitable denning sites. Her success in claiming and defending this prime real estate is itself a sign of her genetic fitness. Strong females produce strong offspring, and her territorial achievements indicate she possesses the traits necessary for successful reproduction. As the courtship progresses, you notice subtle changes in her behavior. The tests become less frequent, the distances between encounters shorter. She begins to vocalize more freely, responding to your calls with increasing enthusiasm. These are signs that your persistence and demonstrations of fitness are having the desired effect. The actual mating process is brief but intense. Sand cats don't form long-term pair bonds like some species. Instead, they come together for the specific purpose of reproduction, then return to their solitary lives. This arrangement suits the harsh desert environment, where resources are too scarce to support permanent partnerships. After mating, your role changes dramatically. You don't simply disappear back to your own territory. Instead, you remain in the area, providing protection and support during the female's pregnancy. This period lasts approximately 66 days, during which her needs for food and security increase significantly. The female's behavior becomes more cautious as pregnancy progresses. She reduces her hunting range, focusing on areas close to potential denning sites. Her movements become more deliberate, conserving energy for the developing kittens. Your presence allows her to rest more frequently, knowing that you're maintaining watch for threats. During this time, you learn to coordinate your hunting efforts with hers. You take on the more dangerous hunts, pursuing larger prey that might pose risks to a pregnant female. She focuses on smaller, easier catches that require less energy expenditure. This division of labor maximizes food acquisition while minimizing risk to the developing offspring. The search for a suitable den becomes a critical joint effort. The site must offer protection from predators, insulation from temperature extremes, and easy access to food and water. You explore numerous possibilities together, evaluating each location's advantages and vulnerabilities. Rocky crevices, abandoned burrows, and natural caves all receive consideration. The chosen den site reflects the accumulated wisdom of your species. It's positioned to take advantage of natural windbreaks that moderate temperature swings. The entrance is concealed but not trapped, allowing quick escape if necessary. Multiple chambers provide space for the growing family while maintaining defensive advantages. As the birth approaches, the female's behavior becomes increasingly focused on den preparation. She lines the chosen chamber with grass, feathers, and other soft materials. Her movements become more restricted, conserving energy for the ordeal ahead. Your role shifts to providing complete protection and food procurement. The birth itself is a time of extreme vulnerability. The female is temporarily incapacitated, unable to hunt or defend herself effectively. You maintain constant vigilance, patrolling the area around the den and ensuring that no threats approach. The sounds from within the den tell you that new life is entering the world, but you cannot afford to let your guard down. When the kittens finally arrive, they represent both triumph and tremendous responsibility. These tiny, helpless creatures carry the genetic legacy of both parents, combining your survival skills with the female's territorial success. Their survival depends entirely on the protection and care you and the female can provide during their most vulnerable weeks. The female's maternal instincts take over immediately. She cleans the newborns, stimulates their breathing, and begins the crucial process of nursing. Her body has been preparing for this moment throughout the pregnancy, developing the nutritional reserves necessary to sustain multiple growing kittens. Your role during the early weeks involves intensive hunting and territorial defense. The female rarely leaves the den, focusing entirely on kitten care. This means you must provide food for both her and yourself while maintaining security around the den site. The workload is exhausting, but the survival of your offspring depends on your success. The kitten's development follows a predictable pattern, but each milestone brings new challenges. Their eyes open after about 2 weeks, followed by their first tentative movements around the den. These early explorations require constant supervision, as curious kittens can quickly wander into danger. As the kittens grow stronger and more mobile, your protective duties intensify. What once required guarding a single den site now involves monitoring multiple active, unpredictable young cats. Each kitten develops its own personality, with some showing early signs of boldness while others remain cautious. Understanding these individual traits helps you anticipate potential problems. The teaching phase begins when the kittens are old enough to venture outside the den. This is where your accumulated knowledge of desert survival becomes invaluable. Every lesson you learned through trial and error, every technique you mastered through practice, now serves the crucial purpose of preparing the next generation for independent life. Teaching hunting skills to young sand cats requires patience and precision. You demonstrate stalking techniques, pouncing methods, and prey handling procedures. The kittens learn through observation and imitation, gradually developing the coordination and timing necessary for successful hunts. Each small victory builds their confidence and competence. The lessons extend beyond hunting to include navigation, threat recognition, and territorial behavior. You show them how to read the subtle signs that indicate water sources, safe resting spots, and dangerous areas. These skills, accumulated over years of desert survival, become the foundation for their future success. As the kittens approach independence, the family dynamic begins to shift. The female starts spending more time away from the den, resuming her own hunting activities. Your protective presence becomes less constant, allowing the young cats to develop self-reliance. This gradual transition prepares them for the eventual separation that desert life demands. The final phase of your parental involvement involves teaching territorial establishment and defense. You guide the young cats through the process of identifying suitable areas, marking boundaries, and responding to challenges from other predators. These lessons prepare them for the solitary life that awaits them as adult sand cats. Eventually, the time comes for the family to disperse. The young cats, now equipped with the skills and knowledge necessary for survival, begin to establish their own territories. The female returns to her solitary existence, ready to focus on her own survival and potential future reproductive opportunities. Your own life enters a new chapter as you return to your established territory. The experience of successful reproduction has reinforced your genetic legacy, but it has also demanded significant resources and energy. Recovery becomes a priority as you rebuild your strength and refocus on the challenges of desert survival. The knowledge gained through the reproductive process enhances your overall survival skills. Understanding the needs of pregnant females, the vulnerabilities of young kittens, and the dynamics of family groups provides insights that prove valuable in future encounters with your own species. Your territory may now overlap with those of your offspring as they establish their own ranges. This creates complex dynamics that require careful navigation. While you no longer provide direct support, the success of your genetic legacy depends partly on their ability to coexist with other sand cats, including their own parent. The cycle of life continues as you return to the essential activities of hunting, territory maintenance, and survival. The desert remains as challenging as ever, but your successful reproduction represents a victory against the harsh environment. Your genetic material now exists in multiple individuals, increasing the chances that your adaptations will persist in future generations. The experience of raising offspring in the desert environment reinforces the remarkable adaptations that make sand cat survival possible. From the specialized kidneys that conserve water to the fur-covered paws that navigate burning sand, every trait proves its value when passed to the next generation. As you resume your solitary existence, the memories of successful reproduction provide motivation for continued survival. The knowledge that your genetic legacy continues through your offspring adds meaning to the daily struggles of desert life. Each successful hunt, each avoided predator, each day of survival contributes to the ongoing success of your bloodline. The desert night falls once again, and you begin another patrol of your territory. The familiar sounds and scents of your domain welcome you back, but something has changed. You are no longer just a survivor fighting for your own existence. You are a contributor to the continuation of your species, a link in the chain that connects the sand cats of the past with those of the future. Your life continues with renewed purpose, shaped by the knowledge that successful reproduction represents the ultimate victory in the desert's endless game of survival. As winter's grip loosens across the desert, something stirs within you, a restlessness that has nothing to do with hunger or territory. You're 6 years old now, battle-tested and proven. Your scent marks define a kingdom of sand and stone that stretches for kilometers in every direction. But suddenly, none of that matters. The ancient call of reproduction has awakened, and everything else fades into background noise. The breeding season for sand cats is brief and unforgiving. Just a few precious weeks when the desert's harsh conditions align with biological necessity. You've survived this long by being cautious, methodical, patient. But now patience becomes your enemy. Every day you wait is another day closer to the end of this narrow window. Other males are already moving, already searching. The competition has begun. Your first challenge is finding a female. In this vast emptiness, that's easier said than done. Sand cats are solitary by nature, and females don't advertise their presence. You rely on scent trails, following faint traces that might be hours or even days old. Sometimes you track a promising scent for kilometers only to discover it belongs to another male. Other times, the trail simply vanishes, lost to wind and shifting sand. When you finally pick up a fresh female scent, your body responds immediately. Your calls become more frequent, more urgent. These aren't the sharp alarm calls you use to warn off intruders. These are deeper, more complex vocalizations that carry across the desert night. You're announcing your presence, your availability, your genetic fitness, but you're also revealing your location to competitors. The female's response comes as a series of calls from somewhere ahead. She's interested, but she's not making this easy. She moves constantly, forcing you to prove your tracking skills. This isn't just courtship, it's a test. Can you follow her across rocky terrain where scent doesn't hold? Can you navigate the maze of burrows and crevices where she disappears and reappears? Your persistence here will determine whether your bloodline continues or dies with you. Other males have heard her calls too. You catch sight of one moving parallel to your path, about 50 meters to your left. He's smaller than you, younger, but that doesn't make him less dangerous. Speed and desperation can overcome size and experience. You adjust your route to intercept him, making it clear that this territory, this female, this opportunity belongs to you. The confrontation is swift and brutal. No elaborate displays or ritualized posturing, just teeth, claws, and the raw determination to pass on your genes. You're bigger, stronger, more experienced, but he's hungrier, more desperate. The fight leaves both of you bloodied and exhausted. He retreats, but the damage is done. You've lost precious time, and the female has moved on. You pick up her trail again, but now you're limping. Your left shoulder burns where his claws found their mark. Every movement sends pain shooting through your body, but you push forward. This is your last chance. At 6 years old, you're already ancient by Sandcat standards. Your reflexes are slowing, your joints aching. Next year's breeding season might as well be a lifetime away. The female's scent grows stronger as dawn approaches. She's close now, very close. You find her resting in the shade of a rocky outcrop, grooming herself with deliberate calm. She's beautiful, with the perfect proportions and coloring that signal genetic health. But she's also wary, watching your approach with calculating eyes. Your courtship is nothing like the elaborate displays of other species. No peacock feathers or complex dances, just a low, rumbling call that speaks of loneliness and need. She responds with her own vocalization, but she doesn't move toward you. Instead, she stands and walks away, glancing back to see if you'll follow. This dance continues for hours. Approach, retreat, call, respond. She's testing your stamina, your dedication, your ability to provide for potential offspring. Every step is a question, every pause a challenge. Can you keep up? Will you give up? Are you worthy of carrying her genetic legacy forward? The sun climbs higher, and the temperature begins to soar. Most desert creatures are seeking shelter now, but you continue your pursuit. Your tongue hangs loose, your breathing becomes labored, but you don't stop. You can't stop. This is what you were born for, what you've survived for, what makes all the hunger and danger and loneliness worthwhile. Finally, as the heat becomes unbearable, she stops. She turns to face you, her body language shifting from evasive to accepting. The courtship is over. What follows is brief but intense. A moment of connection in a life defined by solitude. Then just as quickly, it's finished. She moves away, already focused on the next phase of her biological imperative. You don't follow her. Your role in this particular story is complete. She'll find a suitable den, give birth to your offspring, and raise them without your help. That's how it works in the desert. Males provide genes, females provide everything else. You return to your territory, your scent marks, your solitary existence. But something has changed. You've fulfilled your biological purpose, ensured your genetic continuation. The wound on your shoulder heals slowly, leaving a scar that will remind you of this encounter for the rest of your life. You settle back into your routine of hunting, patrolling, surviving. But sometimes, on quiet nights when the desert wind carries distant sounds, you listen for the calls of young sand cats. Somewhere out there, your offspring are learning to hunt, to hide, to survive in this merciless landscape. Weeks pass, then months. The breeding season becomes a memory, then a distant dream. You age with each passing day, your movements becoming stiffer, your senses less sharp. But you've accomplished what every living creature strives for. You've passed on your genes, your adaptations, your hard-won survival skills to the next generation. The desert continues its eternal cycle of life and death, predator and prey, scarcity and abundance. Sand shifts, seasons change, but the fundamental challenges remain the same: extreme temperatures, scarce water, hidden predators, elusive prey. Your offspring will face these same challenges, armed with the genetic toolkit you've provided them. Some will thrive, growing strong and claiming territories of their own. Others will fall victim to the desert's countless dangers. But a few, the lucky and the skilled, will survive long enough to breed again. They'll carry your genetic legacy forward, ensuring that sand cats continue to prowl these ancient dunes long after you're gone. Your contribution to this ongoing story is now complete. You've survived longer than most, bred successfully, and claimed your place in the endless chain of desert life. The rest of your story will be about endurance, about holding onto your territory and your strength for as long as possible. But the most important chapter, the one that ensures your species' survival, has already been written. Years have passed since you established your dominance over this stretch of desert. Your body has endured countless seasons, countless hunts, countless battles for survival. The harsh environment that once challenged your every move has become your domain. But time is an enemy that no sand cat can defeat. Your movements aren't what they used to be. The lightning-fast reflexes that once allowed you to snatch gerbils from their burrows have slowed. Your joints ache after long nights of hunting, and the distances you once covered with ease now leave you winded. The desert hasn't changed, but you have. Your territory, once defended with fierce determination, begins to feel overwhelming. Younger sand cats probe your borders, testing your resolve. Some back down when they encounter your scent markers, still respecting the reputation you've built over the years. Others are bolder, sensing weakness in the aging predator who once ruled these dunes without question. The hunting that sustained you through your prime becomes increasingly difficult. Your hearing, once sharp enough to detect the faintest scratch of claws on sand, has dulled. The night vision that made you a phantom in the darkness isn't as keen. Prey that would have been easy kills in your younger years now require more energy, more patience, more cunning than your aging body can consistently provide. Water becomes even more precious. Your kidneys, remarkable as they are, show signs of the accumulated stress of years spent extracting every drop of moisture from minimal sources. The metabolic efficiency that once seemed endless now demands more careful management of your energy reserves. During particularly harsh periods, you find yourself returning to familiar hunting grounds more frequently. The mental map you've built over years of exploration becomes your greatest asset. You know every rock formation, every potential den site, every water source within your territory. This knowledge compensates for what your body can no longer accomplish through pure physical prowess. Your last successful mating season was over a year ago. The drive to reproduce, once an overwhelming force during the breeding months, has diminished. Younger males command the attention of females now, their vigor and genetic potential more appealing than your experience and battle-scarred wisdom. The social dynamics of your species work against aging individuals. Sand cats don't form supportive family groups or packs that might care for elderly members. Independence, and your greatest strength throughout your life, becomes a liability when your body begins to fail. There's no safety net, no support system to fall back on when the hunt becomes too difficult. One particularly cold desert night, you emerge from your den feeling the familiar pangs of hunger. Your last successful hunt was 3 days ago, and your body desperately needs sustenance. The usual hunting grounds yield nothing. Hours pass as you search, your energy reserves dwindling with each fruitless investigation of potential prey sites. A sound catches your attention, the faint scratching of something moving beneath the sand. Your ears perk up, and despite your diminished hearing, you can tell it's close. You approach cautiously, your movements more deliberate than they once were. It's a jerboa, a substantial meal if you can catch it. You position yourself carefully, remembering the countless successful hunts of your past. The technique is ingrained in your muscle memory, but your muscles don't respond with their former precision. You pounce, but your timing is off by just a fraction of a second. The jerboa bolts, disappearing into the darkness before you can recover. The failed hunt leaves you exhausted and frustrated. You rest against a sun-warmed rock, your breathing labored. This isn't the first time your body has betrayed you, and you sense it won't be the last. The dessert that nurtured you, challenged you, and shaped you into the perfect predator continues its relentless test of survival. Over the following weeks, successful hunts become increasingly rare. Your body weight drops, and your already lean frame becomes gaunt. The thick fur that once protected you from temperature extremes now hangs loose on your shrinking form. Your movements become more cautious, more calculated, as you instinctively conserve what energy remains. The territorial disputes that once ended with your victory now pose genuine threats. A young male, barely 2 years old but in his prime, challenges your claim to a particularly rich hunting area. In your younger days, this would have been a brief, decisive encounter. Now the fight is longer, more exhausting, and while you eventually drive him off, the victory costs you dearly. Your den, once a fortress of solitude and security, begins to feel like a prison. You spend more time resting, your body demanding recovery periods that stretch longer with each passing day. The desert continues its rhythm around you, indifferent to your struggles, as it has been indifferent to the struggles of countless generations of sandcats before you. The scent markers that once boldly proclaimed your ownership of this territory grow weaker, less frequent. You lack the energy to maintain the extensive network of markings that kept competitors at bay. Gradually, your territory shrinks as other sandcats encroach on areas you can no longer effectively defend. One evening, as you attempt to hunt near a familiar rocky outcrop, you notice something that fills you with a mixture of pride and melancholy. Fresh tracks in the sand, small but perfectly formed, leading from a hidden den site. Somewhere in your territory, new life has emerged. A female has given birth, and her kittens are beginning to explore the world beyond their birth den. You don't investigate further. The instinct to avoid potential conflicts with protective mothers overrides your curiosity, but the knowledge that the cycle continues, that new sand cats will inherit this land and face the same challenges you've overcome, provides a strange comfort. Your final hunt comes on a night when the moon is dark and the desert is at its quietest. You've been without food for nearly a week, and your body is consuming itself to survive. Desperation drives you from your den despite your weakness. You move slowly through familiar territory, searching for any opportunity. A young fennec fox, careless in its nocturnal foraging, presents itself as potential prey. In your prime, this would have been an easy kill. Your powerful legs would have closed the distance instantly, your precise bite ending the hunt before the fox could react. Now, you must rely on strategy over strength. You approach from downwind, using every technique learned over years of hunting. Your movements are deliberate, economical, designed to conserve energy while maximizing your chances of success. The fox, focused on its own hunt for insects, doesn't notice your approach until you're within striking distance. Your final pounce carries all the skill and experience of your lifetime. Despite your weakened state, the technique is flawless. Your claws find their mark, your teeth close around the fox's throat, and within moments, you have secured what will be your last meal. The irony isn't lost on you that this final hunt, perhaps your most challenging, was also executed with the precision of a true master. You feed slowly, savoring not just the sustenance, but the satisfaction of proving that your skills remain sharp even as your body fails. The fox provides enough energy to sustain you for several more days, but you understand that this reprieve is temporary. As dawn approaches, you return to your den for the final time. Your body settles into the familiar depression you've worn into the sand over months of use. The entrance faces east, allowing the morning sun to warm your aging frame. You rest your head on your paws and close your eyes, feeling the desert's eternal rhythm pulsing around you. The sun rises, painting the dunes in shades of gold and amber. The temperature begins its daily climb, and the desert awakens to another cycle of life, death, and survival. Your breathing slows, becoming shallow and irregular. The heart that has beaten steadily through countless hunts, territorial battles, and harsh seasons begins to falter. In your final moments, you're not aware of the approaching end. There's no fear, no struggle, just the gradual fading of consciousness as your body finally succumbs to the accumulated toll of a lifetime spent surviving in one of Earth's most challenging environments. Your last sensation is the warmth of the sun on your fur, the same sun that warmed you as a kitten in your birth den years ago. The desert claims you as it has claimed countless others, but your legacy lives on in the territory you defended, the genes you passed to offspring, and the proof that life can not only survive but thrive in the harshest conditions. The sand will eventually cover your remains, returning the nutrients of your body to the ecosystem that sustained you, completing the eternal cycle of life and death that defines existence in the desert. Years of pain, injury, and exhaustion have worn you down. Your body, once perfectly adapted to the harsh demands of desert life, now struggles with the simplest tasks. Your joints ache with every movement, your muscles take longer to respond, and your one-sharp reflexes have dulled to a dangerous degree. The endless cycle of hunting, defending territory, and surviving the desert's extremes has taken its toll. Your hearing, once so acute you could detect the faintest rustle of prey beneath the sand, has diminished. The high-frequency sounds that once guided you to hidden rodents now slip past unnoticed. Your vision, though still functional, lacks the precision it once had. In the unforgiving desert, these small losses compound into life-threatening vulnerabilities. The territory you've defended for years becomes harder to patrol. Younger, stronger sand cats occasionally test your boundaries, sensing weakness. Most of the time, your experience and knowledge of the land still give you an advantage, but the confrontations drain energy you can no longer easily replenish. Each territorial dispute leaves you more exhausted than the last. Hunting becomes a constant struggle. The prey that once seemed abundant now feels scarce, not because there's less of it, but because your ability to catch it has declined. You miss strikes that would have been effortless in your prime. Rodents escape from situations where they once would have been easy meals. The margin for error in the desert was always thin, and now it's razor sharp. Your body's incredible water conservation system, the very adaptation that allowed you to thrive in this environment, begins to show signs of strain. Your kidneys, which have filtered and recycled water with remarkable efficiency for years, work harder to maintain the same level of function. Dehydration becomes a more persistent threat, forcing you to be even more selective about when and how you expend energy. The seasonal rhythms that once guided your life become more challenging to navigate. The scorching summer heat that you weathered countless times now feels more oppressive. Finding adequate shelter during the hottest parts of the day requires more effort. The cooler months, which once provided relief and increased hunting opportunities, now bring their own challenges as your aging body struggles to maintain warmth. Sleep becomes less restorative. The deep, recuperative rest that once recharged your body after long nights of hunting now feels inadequate. You wake feeling tired, your body stiff and slow to respond. The burrows that once provided perfect refuge now feel less comfortable, and you find yourself shifting positions more frequently throughout the day. Your grooming routine, once meticulous and efficient, becomes labored. The flexibility that allowed you to clean every part of your body with ease has diminished. Your fur, while still functional, loses some of its pristine condition. In the desert, where cleanliness helps regulate temperature and prevents parasites, even small declines in grooming can have cascading effects. The social aspects of your existence also shift. The scent marking that once boldly announced your presence now carries less authority. Other sand cats, and particularly younger ones, seem less intimidated by your territorial claims. The complex communication system you've mastered over the years still functions, but your calls lack the power and range they once had. Memory, however, remains your greatest asset. The vast mental map of your territory, accumulated over years of careful exploration, still guides your movements. You know where water is most likely to be found, which areas provide the best hunting at different times of year, and where shelter can be found during emergencies. This knowledge keeps you alive when physical abilities begin to fail. But even knowledge has its limits. One evening, while stalking a promising scent trail, you realize you've been pursuing it for far longer than usual. The jerboa that left these tracks is nearby, but your tired mind struggles to process the subtle clues that would have been obvious in your prime. The trail leads you in circles, and by the time you understand what's happening, precious energy has been wasted. The desert's predators seem to sense your vulnerability. Birds of prey circle more boldly overhead, staying just within the edge of your vision. Snakes appear more frequently in areas where you hunt, as if testing your reaction time. The ecosystem's delicate balance, which you've navigated successfully for years, now feels more precarious. Your appetite begins to change. The large meals that once sustained you for days now feel harder to digest. You find yourself hunting smaller prey more frequently, your body no longer able to efficiently process the substantial kills that once defined successful hunts. This shift forces you to expend more energy hunting, creating a dangerous cycle of increased effort for diminished returns. The psychological toll of aging becomes as significant as the physical challenges. The confidence that once drove you to take calculated risks now wars with the growing awareness of your limitations. You find yourself hesitating in situations where you once would have acted decisively. In the desert, hesitation can mean the difference between life and death. Weather patterns that you once weathered with ease now pose serious threats. A sandstorm that would have been merely an inconvenience in your prime now forces you to seek shelter earlier and emerge later. The recovery time from any environmental stress increases dramatically, leaving you vulnerable for longer periods. Your relationship with your territory evolves as well. The vast area you once patrolled with ease now requires strategic choices about where to focus your limited energy. You begin to concentrate on the most productive areas, gradually abandoning the outer reaches of your domain. This contraction feels like defeat, but it's a necessary adaptation to your changing capabilities. The water sources that have sustained you throughout your life become more critical than ever. The long treks to distant water, once routine, now require careful planning and consideration of your energy reserves. You find yourself rationing not just water, but the energy required to obtain it, creating a complex calculation of risk and reward. As your physical abilities decline, your survival increasingly depends on avoiding rather than confronting challenges. The bold hunting strategies of your youth give way to more cautious approaches. You wait longer for perfect opportunities, take fewer risks, and rely more heavily on your accumulated experience to compensate for diminished physical capabilities. The sand cat that once ruled this territory with absolute authority now faces the harsh reality of age in one of Earth's most unforgiving environments. Every decision carries greater weight, every mistake has more serious consequences, and every successful hunt becomes a small victory against the inevitable passage of time. The desert that shaped you into a perfect predator now tests whether that perfection can sustain you through the final chapters of your remarkable life. Your body moves slower now, each step deliberate and measured across the familiar sand. The territory that once felt limitless has gradually shrunk to a series of well-worn paths between shelter and hunting grounds. You still know every grain of this desert, every shadow and sound, but your relationship with it has changed. Where you once prowled with aggressive confidence, you now move with careful precision. The morning hunt reveals what you've been trying to ignore for months. A sand viper emerges from beneath a stone, its movements quick and fluid. You react instantly, muscles coiling for the strike. But something is different. The lightning-fast reflexes that once made you unstoppable now carry a fraction of hesitation. Your pounce lands perfectly, claws finding their mark, but the effort leaves you breathing harder than it should. You consume your prey methodically, savoring each bite. Food has become more precious now, not because it's scarce, but because each successful hunt requires more energy than before. Your body, once a perfectly tuned predator machine, now operates with the wisdom of experience, but the limitations of age. The afternoon brings unwelcome visitors. A pair of younger sandcats crosses into your territory, their scent bold and challenging. 5 years ago, you would have charged them without hesitation, driving them off with pure aggression. Now you watch from the shadows, assessing the situation with calculated patience. They're strong, confident, and hungry for land of their own. You emerge slowly, allowing them to see you. Your presence alone should be enough. These cats know your reputation, the stories of your dominance passed down through generations of desert dwellers. You stand tall, every muscle tensed, projecting the authority you've earned through decades of survival. The younger male steps forward, testing your resolve. His movements are sharp and eager, lacking the controlled precision that comes with experience. You don't move, letting him come closer, watching his eyes for the moment of commitment. When he finally lunges, you're ready. The fight is brief but telling. You use his momentum against him, redirecting his attack with practiced efficiency. Where he relies on speed and strength, you counter with timing and technique. Your claws find their mark with surgical precision, sending him stumbling backward. The message is clear. Experience trumps youth, but the effort costs you more than it once did. They retreat, tails low, but you know they'll return. Word will spread that the old cat is slowing down, that the legendary territory might be vulnerable. You've bought yourself time, but the clock is ticking. As evening approaches, you return to your favorite hunting spot near the rocky outcrop. The familiar sounds of desert life surround you. The distant call of a fennec fox, the rustle of small creatures in the sparse vegetation, the whisper of wind across sand. This is your world, shaped by your presence over the years. A jerboa appears at the edge of your vision, its movement triggering the same predatory instincts that have driven you for nearly a decade. You begin your approach, muscle memory guiding each step. The stalk is perfect, a masterclass in patience and positioning. When you strike, it's with the accumulated wisdom of thousands of successful hunts. The kill is clean, efficient, beautiful in its simplicity. You've transcended mere hunting and achieved something approaching art. Every movement flows from decades of refinement, each technique honed through countless repetitions. You are no longer just a predator. You are the desert's most accomplished hunter. But as you settle down to feed, a sharp pain shoots through your left hip. The joint that has carried you across as endless miles of sand now protests with each movement. You adjust your position, finding a comfortable angle, and continue eating. The pain is manageable, just another reminder of the price of survival. The night brings reflection. You rest in your shelter, a shallow depression beneath an overhanging rock that you've used for 3 years. The space holds your scent, your presence, the accumulated weight of countless nights spent here. This is home in the truest sense, carved out through determination and defended through strength. You think about the young cats who challenged you today, remembering your own youth when you first claimed this territory. The cycle continues, as it always has. Somewhere out there, another young cat is growing stronger, learning the skills that will one day bring them to your borders. It's not a question of if, but when. Your offspring are scattered across the desert now, carrying your genes and the lessons you taught them. Some have established territories of their own. Others have fallen to the harsh realities of desert life. But they all carry something of you forward, ensuring that your legacy extends beyond the boundaries of this small patch of sand. Sleep comes easier now than it once did. Your body demands more rest, more recovery time between hunts. But your dreams are rich with memory, the thrill of your first successful hunt, the satisfaction of establishing dominance, the brief moments of connection with mates, the pride of watching your young take their first steps into independence. You wake before dawn, as you have for nearly a decade. The routine is comforting, a constant in a world of endless change. You stretch carefully, testing each joint and muscle, cataloging the small aches and stiffnesses that have become your daily companions. Today, like every day, you will hunt. You will patrol. You will survive. The desert around you holds no sympathy for age or weakness, but it rewards wisdom and adaptation. You've learned to work with your changing body rather than against it. Shorter hunts, more strategic positioning, careful selection of prey. The young cats rely on speed and aggression. You rely on intelligence and experience. A movement in the distance catches your attention. Another intruder, testing your vigilance. You rise slowly, deliberately, projecting confidence even as your hip protests. The game continues, as it always has. You are no longer the young cat who claimed this territory through raw power, but you are something perhaps more dangerous. A master of survival, shaped by the desert into its most perfect predator. Your sand cat instincts are sharper now, but your body is starting to betray you. The reflexes that once snapped into action without thought now hesitate for just a split second too long. Your hearing, once so acute it could detect a beetle crawling across sand 50 meters away, now requires more focus to pick up the subtle sounds that mean the difference between a successful hunt and going hungry. The joints that carried you silently across the dunes for years now protest with stiffness after long nights of hunting. Age creeps in like the gradual shift of seasons in the desert. It's not dramatic, not sudden, but it's relentless. Your fur, once pristine and perfectly adapted to blend with the sand, now shows patches of wear. The pads of your feet, hardened by years of walking across scorching surfaces, have developed cracks that make silent movement more difficult. Every hunt requires more energy than it used to, and recovery takes longer. You've noticed the changes in how other animals react to you, too. The young sand cats that occasionally cross your territory don't immediately flee anymore. They size you up, calculating whether you're still a threat worth avoiding. Some of the bolder ones have started testing your boundaries, venturing closer to your prime hunting spots. They can sense what you're beginning to understand yourself. Your reign over this territory won't last forever. Food becomes more challenging to secure. The jerboa that would have been an easy catch 2 years ago now requires a more calculated approach. You find yourself relying more on patience and experience than pure physical ability. Your hunting strategy shifts from the lightning-fast ambushes of your prime to more methodical stalking. You use your knowledge of the terrain, your understanding of prey behavior, and your years of experience to compensate for what your body can no longer deliver. The desert hasn't changed, but your relationship with it has. Water sources that you once reached without difficulty now require more effort to access. The rocky outcroppings where you used to rest require more careful navigation. Your body temperature regulation, once flawless, now struggles more during the extreme heat of midday. You find yourself seeking shade earlier and emerging later, adjusting your schedule to accommodate your aging body's limitations. Sleep becomes both more necessary and more elusive. Your body demands rest, but the hypervigilance that kept you alive for years doesn't simply switch off. You find yourself caught between exhaustion and the ingrained survival instincts that kept you breathing in this harsh environment. Every sound, every vibration through the sand still triggers your alert response, even when your body desperately needs rest. Territory maintenance becomes increasingly difficult. The scent marking that once felt effortless now requires more energy and planning. You can't patrol the entire perimeter of your territory as frequently as you once did. This creates opportunities for other predators and competitors to encroach on your space. You find yourself making strategic decisions about which areas to defend and which to gradually abandon. Your interactions with prey species begin to change too. The smaller animals that once fled at the first sign of your presence now sometimes stand their ground longer. They're not necessarily braver, but they're more accurate in their assessment of the threat you pose. This means you have to work harder to maintain the element of surprise that was once your greatest advantage. The seasonal changes that you've navigated successfully for years now present new challenges. The extreme temperatures that you once weathered with relative ease now push your body to its limits. Recovery from the physical stress of surviving sandstorms, temperature fluctuations, and the constant demands of finding food and water takes longer than it used to. Other sand cats in the area have begun to take notice of your declining condition. Younger, stronger individuals start to probe your defenses more aggressively. They're not necessarily malicious, but they're following the same survival instincts that once drove you to claim this territory. The natural order of the desert doesn't pause for sentiment or respect for past achievements. You find yourself adapting your hunting grounds to focus on areas where success is more likely. The energy expenditure of failed hunts becomes too costly to sustain. Your prey selection shifts towards smaller, easier targets, even though they provide less nutritional value. It's a calculated trade-off between energy spent and energy gained, and the mathematics of survival are becoming increasingly challenging. The burrow that has been your sanctuary for years now requires more maintenance that you're finding difficult to provide. The sand shifts, the entrance needs clearing, and the structural integrity requires attention that your aging body struggles to deliver. Yet this burrow represents more than just shelter. It's your anchor in a territory that you've defended and called home for most of your adult life. Despite the physical decline, your knowledge of the desert remains sharp. You know every rock formation, every reliable water source, every seasonal change in prey behavior. This accumulated wisdom becomes your most valuable asset as your physical capabilities diminish. You're no longer the apex predator you once were, but you're still a formidable survivor with years of experience guiding your decisions. The reality of your situation becomes clearer with each passing day. The desert that shaped you, challenged you, and sustained you for years continues its relentless cycle. You're no longer fighting to establish your place in this ecosystem. You're fighting to maintain it for as long as possible. Every successful hunt, every night survived, every challenger repelled is a victory against the inevitable progression of time. Your legacy isn't just in the territory you've claimed or the prey you've caught. It's in the perfect adaptation to one of Earth's most challenging environments that you've embodied for years. You've been a living example of evolution's finest work, a creature so precisely suited to its environment that survival seemed effortless. Now, as your body begins to fail, that legacy becomes more precious and more fragile. The desert continues around you, indifferent to your struggles, but also providing the same opportunities it always has. Each dawn brings another chance to hunt, another day to survive, another opportunity to prove that experience and determination can compensate for physical decline. You're not just aging, you're approaching the final chapter of a life perfectly lived in one of nature's most demanding classrooms. The years have taken their toll on your once mighty frame. The relentless desert that shaped you into the perfect predator is now slowly reclaiming what it gave. Your joints ache with each step across the familiar sand. Your hearing, once sharp enough to detect the faintest mouse heartbeat from meters away, now struggles to pick up sounds that would have been obvious in your prime. The constant squinting against sandstorms has left your eyes clouded and strained. You miss movements that younger you would have caught instantly. Your territory, the kingdom you fought so hard to establish and defend, feels different now. The boundaries you once patrolled with confidence seem to stretch endlessly before your weary paws. Scent marking takes more effort than it used to, and sometimes you forget which rocks you've already claimed. The precision that once defined every aspect of your existence is fading like morning mist in the desert heat. Hunting has become a daily struggle rather than the effortless dance of death it once was. Your stalking technique, perfected over years of practice, now betrays you with trembling muscles and uncertain footing. The lightning-quick reflexes that made you a master of the hunt have slowed to a crawl. Prey that would have been easy targets in your youth now escape with frustrating regularity. You find yourself spending entire nights without a single successful kill, your empty stomach a constant reminder of your declining abilities. The desert nights that once energized you now feel longer and more challenging. Your thick fur coat, perfectly adapted for temperature regulation, can no longer maintain the delicate balance your body needs. You shiver when you should be comfortable and overheat when the temperature should be manageable. Sleep comes fitfully, interrupted by aches and pains that never existed before. Your body's internal compass, the navigation system that guided you flawlessly through countless hunts, occasionally leads you astray. Water conservation, the skill that kept you alive in the harshest conditions, becomes more critical as your kidneys work less efficiently. Every drop matters more than ever, but your body seems to waste what it once preserved so carefully. The metabolic efficiency that allowed you to survive on minimal resources is breaking down. You need more food, but catch less. You require more water, but find it harder to locate. The perfect biological machine is showing its age. Your grooming routine, once meticulous and thorough, becomes a chore you sometimes skip. The matted fur around your face speaks of neglect, born from exhaustion rather than choice. Your claws, still sharp but less precisely maintained, catch on things they once glided over smoothly. The pride you once took in your physical condition gives way to a pragmatic acceptance of decline. You're still a predator, but you're no longer the apex version of yourself. Territory disputes, which you once approached with confidence and aggression, now require careful calculation. Younger sand cats patrol the edges of your domain, testing your resolve and strength. You still defend what's yours, but the fights leave you more battered and take longer to recover from. Each victory feels harder earned, each defeat more devastating. The respect you commanded through strength alone must now be supplemented with cunning and experience. The seasonal changes that once marked hunting opportunities now signal different challenges. Migration patterns you relied on for easy prey have shifted or disappeared entirely. The desert ecosystem continues its eternal dance, but you struggle to keep up with its rhythm. Environmental changes that you adapted to in your prime now present insurmountable obstacles. What was once a dynamic relationship between predator and habitat becomes a battle for survival. Your memory, sharp as your claws in youth, plays tricks on you now. You remember hunting grounds that no longer exist, water sources that have dried up, and prey patterns that have changed. Sometimes you wake up disoriented, unsure of your location within your own territory. The mental map that guided you through countless successful hunts has gaps and inconsistencies. You rely more on instinct than conscious planning, but even those ancient reflexes feel dulled. Social encounters with other sandcats become more complex as your status changes. The dominant presence you once projected now carries hints of vulnerability that others can sense. Potential mates assess you differently, weighing your genetic value against your diminishing prospects. The hierarchy you once topped through strength and skill now places you somewhere lower, supported more by experience than raw capability. Your hunting strategy shifts from active pursuit to patient opportunism. You can no longer chase down fleet-footed prey across long distances, so you focus on ambush tactics and easier targets. Younger injured animals become your primary focus, not out of choice, but necessity. The diverse diet you once enjoyed narrows to whatever you can successfully catch and kill. Pride gives way to pragmatism as survival becomes the sole priority. The burrows you excavate lack the precision and comfort of your earlier constructions. Your digging strength has diminished, leaving you with shallow, poorly insulated shelters. The temperature regulation these inadequate burrows provide forces you to be more selective about when and where you rest. Comfort becomes a luxury you can't always afford, replaced by mere functionality. Weather patterns that you once weathered with ease now pose serious threats. Sandstorms that you previously rode out in well-prepared burrows now catch you exposed and vulnerable. The extreme temperatures that your body once regulated effortlessly now push you to your limits. Each season brings new challenges that test your diminishing reserves of strength and adaptability. Your breathing becomes more labored during exertion. The cardiovascular efficiency that powered your hunting sprints and territorial patrols begins to fail. You find yourself stopping more frequently to rest, panting heavily after activities that once required no recovery time. Your body's oxygen processing, once perfectly calibrated for desert life, struggles to meet the demands you place on it. The wounds you sustain in fights heal more slowly and leave lasting damage. Scars accumulate not just as badges of honor, but as reminders of your increasing vulnerability. Your immune system, weakened by age and stress, fights off infections less effectively. Small injuries that would have been inconsequential in your prime now threaten to become serious complications. Your sleep patterns become irregular and less restorative. The deep, recuperative rest that once recharged your body for the next day's challenges becomes elusive. You find yourself drowsing during prime hunting hours and restless during rest periods. The circadian rhythms that perfectly synchronized your activity with desert life begin to break down. Food becomes harder to digest, and your stomach's capacity diminishes. Meals that once provided sustained energy now cause discomfort and provide less nutrition. Your body's ability to extract maximum benefit from minimal intake, the adaptation that made desert survival possible, deteriorates. You must hunt more frequently for smaller, less satisfying results. The territorial calls you once projected with authority now sound weaker and less intimidating. Your voice, once a powerful tool for communication and dominance, carries less far and commands less respect. Other sandcats can hear the difference, and some begin to test boundaries they would never have crossed before. Your acoustic presence in the desert ecosystem diminishes. Your reflexes, once lightning fast and perfectly calibrated, now lag behind your intentions. The split-second timing that made you a master predator becomes unreliable. You misjudge distances, miss time strikes, and miss opportunities that would have been automatic successes in your prime. The muscle memory that guided thousands of successful hunts begins to fade. The desert winds carry scents that your nose can no longer identify with certainty. The olfactory map that once provided detailed information about every creature in your territory becomes vague and unreliable. You miss the approach of predators and the presence of prey. Your chemical communication with other sandcats becomes less precise and effective. Your balance, once perfect across any terrain, becomes questionable on uneven surfaces. The sure-footed grace that carried you across rocks, sand, and brush gives way to cautious, measured steps. You avoid the challenging terrain that you once navigated with ease. The three-dimensional mastery of your environment reduces to safer, more predictable routes. The seasonal fat reserves that once carried you through lean periods become harder to accumulate and maintain. Your body's storage capacity diminishes while your energy needs remain constant. The buffer that protected you from starvation during unsuccessful hunting periods grows thin. Each failed hunt carries higher stakes than before. Your thermal regulation, the biological system that kept you alive in extreme desert conditions, begins to fail. You seek shelter more frequently and for longer periods. The temperature ranges you can comfortably tolerate narrow significantly. Climate variations that you once adapted to automatically now require conscious effort and planning. The complex calculations that once guided your hunting decisions become simplified by necessity. You can no longer afford to pursue challenging prey or invest energy in low-probability hunts. Your target selection becomes conservative, focused on guaranteed success rather than optimal nutrition. The strategic thinking that made you an apex predator gives way to survival-focused simplicity. Your grooming becomes perfunctory rather than thorough. The meticulous self-care that once maintained your coat's insulation and camouflage properties suffers from fatigue and joint pain. Your appearance, once immaculate and intimidating, shows signs of neglect. The pride you took in your physical condition diminishes with your capacity to maintain it. The water sources you once located through subtle environmental cues become harder to find. Your ability to read the landscape for moisture signs deteriorates. The drought survival skills that kept you alive in the harshest conditions become less reliable. You must venture farther from safe territory to find adequate hydration. Your spatial memory, once flawless within your territory, develops gaps and inconsistencies. Landmarks that guided you for years become confusing. The mental map that enabled efficient hunting circuits becomes unreliable. You occasionally find yourself lost in areas you've known for most of your life. The predator-prey relationships you once dominated begin to shift. Animals that feared you now show less caution. Your reputation as a threat diminishes as your capabilities decline. The respect you commanded through demonstrated lethality erodes with each failed hunt and visible sign of weakness. Your energy allocation becomes a constant balancing act between survival needs and physical limitations. Every decision requires careful consideration of energy costs versus benefits. The spontaneous responses that once defined your hunting style give way to calculated conservation. You must choose your battles more carefully than ever before. The social dynamics within your territory change as your dominance wanes. Younger sand cats begin to challenge your authority more frequently. The hierarchy you once topped through strength and skill repositions you based on diminishing capabilities. Your status depends increasingly on experience and cunning rather than raw power. Your digestive system, once capable of processing tough desert prey efficiently, struggles with the same foods. Bones that you once crunched easily become difficult to manage. The nutritional extraction that maximized every meal's value becomes less efficient. You must be more selective about what parts of your prey you can successfully consume. The mating seasons that once brought opportunities for genetic legacy now highlight your declining attractiveness as a partner. Potential mates assess your condition and prospects with increasing skepticism. The courtship behaviors that once succeeded require more effort for less certain results. Your reproductive window narrows with each passing season. Your stress response, once perfectly calibrated for desert survival, becomes either overactive or insufficient. The fight-or-flight mechanisms that kept you alive in dangerous situations malfunction. You may freeze when you should flee, or panic when you should remain calm. The psychological adaptations that made you an effective predator begin to break down. The seasonal migrations of prey that you once anticipated and exploited become harder to predict and follow. Your timing, once perfectly synchronized with desert rhythms, falls out of step with natural cycles. The opportunities that sustained you through lean periods become less available or accessible. Your immune system, weakened by age and constant stress, struggles to fight off parasites and diseases that would have been minor inconveniences in your prime. The robust health that powered your predatory lifestyle gives way to a more fragile constitution. Every minor illness carries the potential for serious consequences. The desert that shaped you into the perfect predator now seems vast and hostile rather than familiar and navigable. The environment that once felt like home becomes a collection of challenges and obstacles. Your relationship with the landscape shifts from mastery to mere survival. The sand cat that once ruled this domain must now simply endure it. Yet even in decline, you maintain the fundamental drive that has defined your existence. The hunting instinct remains strong even when the body that executes it fails. You continue to mark territory, stalk prey, and defend what's yours with whatever strength remains. The desert made you what you are, and you will remain a sand cat until the very end. The final hunts of your life carry a different weight than those of your prime. Each successful kill feels like a victory against the odds rather than a routine accomplishment. The prey you catch tastes sweeter for its rarity. Every meal could be your last, and every sunrise brings another day of uncertain survival. Your legacy lives not in the territory you claimed or the hunts you completed, but in the genetic material you passed on and the lessons your presence taught to other desert dwellers. The ecosystem you inhabited bears the subtle marks of your influence. The desert will remember you not as an individual, but as part of the eternal cycle of life and death that defines this harsh but beautiful landscape. In your final moments, as the desert reclaims your body, you embody the ultimate truth of Sandcat existence. You lived as evolution designed you to live, perfectly adapted to one of Earth's most challenging environments. You survived where others could not, thrived where others merely endured, and left your mark on the endless sand that witnessed your entire remarkable life. The desert made you, sustained you, and will now take you back into its eternal embrace. If you liked that video, leave a subscription. Here you can find the next video. See you soon.